sports teams and had some fun at our school pep rally, which was emceed for the first time by senior and member of the boys soccer team, Joe Arena. Performances by the dance team, cheer team, and Chinese Diablo were enjoyed by all. And I want to say thank you to everyone for your school spirit and to Joe Arena for being an awesome host. And congratulations to the seniors for their win. During the pep rally, we additionally had the opportunity to cheer for some awesome soccer players in a game with the Unified Sports Program. It was so much fun, and congratulations to all of the participants. This week kicked off our parent-teacher conferences, and parents have gotten the opportunity to connect with faculty and continue an important communicative relationship. And finally, Powder Puff was an amazing experience for junior and senior girls and the entire student body. The commons were decked out and the nest was packed. Seniors dominated the game with a 14-0 win. Both touchdowns were scored by Kate Sino, and extra points were secured by Grace Tesserero. The legendary halftime performance by senior male cheerleaders practically stole the show. Thank you to both teams' coaches, the wonderful janitorial services for cleaning up after us, all of the participants, administrators, and fans that made this a night to remember. Thanks.
Okay, hi everyone. So we would like to thank the Pepin seniors, Brian Chu, Samira Amoli, Alice Huang, Erin Levinson, Alec Liccato, Shelly Merhab, Alex Tai, and Jason Zhang for their hard work and dedication to the football games, and we wish them the best of luck in all their future endeavors. The Fall Sports Awards ceremony will be held on December 4th, where we will be recognizing all of the fall sports and their representation of Holmdel excellence. The choir and instrumental department have been hard at work to prepare for their winter concerts. They have a great repertoire this year. The choral and handbell concert will be on December 13th, and the instrumental concert will be on December 20th. Both will be held at 7 p.m. in the high school auditorium, and we hope to see everyone there. Great job to the cast and crew of Don't Try to Wake Him, Hand Me the Shovel. It was an amazing production, and everyone involved should be very proud. The juniors are hard at work with many visiting colleges and taking SATs. We are also extremely excited to be starting to plan our first prom. The juniors are doing very well after the first marking period. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The superintendent.
Good evening, everyone. I want to start off my report tonight by wishing everyone a happy, albeit belated, American Education Week. This year marks the 97th anniversary of this national celebration of public education, a week during which our nation honors individuals who are making a difference in ensuring that every child receives a quality education. As a product of public schools myself and as a public school educator, this annual celebration is important to me and to everyone assembled here tonight. According to the president of the National Education Association, Lily Eckelson-Garcia, quote, American Education Week serves as a tribute to the team of people who work with our students, everyone from the classroom teacher and the bus driver to the cafeteria worker and the administrative staff, plus countless others. In this spirit, I wanted to start off my report by acknowledging the amazing staff of the Holmdel schools for their innovative and tireless pursuit of excellence for all children. With only the first quarter of the year in the rearview mirror, it is amazing to consider how much our students and staff have achieved in a short period of time. I have a picture on my cell phone, the text of which has been serving as a daily inspirational message for me this year. It says, in order to change, we must embrace the challenge. In order to change, we must embrace the challenge. As I think back over the last few months and the decisions we have made for our great school district, from transitioning principals between 3 of our schools, to new schedules and renovated spaces, to the temporary loss of playing fields and tennis courts, and to substantial curricular changes throughout our schools, we have really taken on a great deal. It is a testament to the strength of this organization that we have been able to accommodate so much change at once. When I reflect on the manner in which everyone has embraced these and other changes, and as I review first quarter data on grades, since we have a goal about data, of which 83% of all grades earned in grades 4 through 12 were B's or better. 83% of all grades earned in grades 4 and between 4 and 12 were B's or better. Or I think about how all 4 of our schools achieved future ready status, or considering the amazing fall sports season we've had, I just have to say how incredibly proud I am of our staff, our students, and our families. Today, we remain a work in progress and have many challenging days ahead as we begin more intrusive Holmdel 2020 work. But based upon what we've already embraced and accomplished, I know we are up for the challenge. I encourage you to read the rest of my report, which will be online tomorrow. It includes just a few highlights of the exciting and innovative things taking place in our schools, from most magnificent things to hydroponic gardens, Google drawing lessons for teachers, Character Edna, blessing bags, catapults, Dash and Dot robots who first grade students coded to stuffed turkeys, to a wonderful fall drama, peer leaders, and more. You will be amazed at all that is taking place in our special school district. I have an enrollment report to provide as well. We currently have 761 students at Village, 755 at Indian Hill, 523 at WRSATS, and 962 for a grand total of 3,001 students. I also have a report of the very first, and there's a motion on the agenda to approve this tonight, of the first of 2 required bus evacuation drills, which were held in all of our schools on the 15th of November. And the backup information is on file in the Office of the Director of Transportation and Community Programs. And I have an HIV report too.
Yes, you do.
We had 1 case of HIV reported during the time period between our last meeting and today. It was at Indian Hill and it was found to be substantiated.
Thank you so much. Can I have a show of hands to accept the superintendent report? Thank you. And yes, I would agree, it was like a dizzying time. There's so much going on at all times, and everyone running around. And I want to thank the board too for supporting all of our students during this time. I see everyone at different school events, and it was great to see that type of support. It was a very busy time. So. Okay, we're at the committee reports. First, I want to thank CNR for my new introduction for the committee report section, and as well as during the initial part. So before a matter is placed on the agenda at a public meeting, the administration reviews the matter with the superintendent of schools. Members of the board committees then work with the superintendent to ensure a full review of these matters, and after committee review and discussion, administrative recommendations are placed on the agenda for action at a public meeting. In rare instances, matters are presented to the Board of Education for discussion at the same meeting that final action may be taken. With that introduction, I'd ask for a committee report. Do you have time? Okay, it's 8:57. You good?
So we had a CNR meeting on November 16th. We discussed with a communications consultant named Lori Perlow. The communications plan development, Lori is from the New Jersey School Public Relations Association, and Dr. McCurry introduced this to her. She's been she has a lot of experience in education communications and marketing communications for many years, both in public and private sectors. And we discussed our communications plan for the district. She said that less than 10% of the boards have a communications person, and that task often falls on the superintendent. And with as much change that's been going on, as Dr. McCurry just noted, I think we need some more communications support in the district. Many schools have inconsistent social media presence and little to no communications plans. So we discussed having her possibly provide some services that would include, she gave two different plans that she could offer. One was a communication action plan, which presented a comprehensive analysis of the district's communications, SWOT analysis, and review of goals and objectives for the district. And the second was a communications audit, where it was just a simplified analysis of the district's communications. Her services are estimated to take about 40 hours a week, so we approximately, it's not that big a rate in terms of not that big a cost to the district. And the community discussed creating a database that would hopefully come from this, that would be able to communicate to the town, especially alumni, parents, and senior citizens that aren't being communicated to today. CR committee recommended proceeding with building of a communications action plan with Ms. Perlow, and that up to the superintendent decided if he wants to proceed with that. On the other items on the agenda, the 2019-2020 calendar. We reviewed the school calendar and discussed various options for creating a February break, but ended up keeping it as recommended by the superintendent. We're going to be discussing it as a full board. Updates to the changes to the board language, which you just read. So that new language was distributed to the board, and we reviewed and modified and tried to simplify it a little bit, and I think it came out pretty well. The Holmdel 2020 communication, visibility of new school designs. We discussed how to get the community excited about the new school designs and progress on the Holmdel 2020 initiative. Dr. McGarry already did this, but he will send out a link to the 360 camera to the school community, and the final designs, once we decide on them, will be uploaded to the website. We also wanted to explore having a model of the new designs once they're finalized in the foyers of the high school and all the schools like Indian Hill and Village as well. Future Ready School follow-up announcements. We discussed how we can humanize the Future Ready Schools by leveraging the TD introduction class to profile students, teachers, and administrative use of technology in the schools. We also discussed communication around the TC collaboration of the new land purchase and its impact on the schools. The TC committee, or the CR committee, recommended that the president and her delegate communicate with the TC on the new land acquisition, because this land acquisition and possible recreation facility will impact the school community in many different ways, including parking, traffic, student usage, etc. We need to coordinate with the TC on this. There was a New Jersey Monthly has not replied to the follow-up letter that President Flynn has sent over to them, and we haven't had any more updates on that for the New Jersey Monthly ratings of the school district. And then finally, we discussed math testing, communications, and report cards. There are concerns with some of the parents that math testing scores are complicated and hard to understand, and this issue was raised to the superintendent. We discussed using them at parent-teacher days, but realized it would take too much time to explain during the short meetings. So we asked Dr. McGarry to take a look to see how math scores could be explained better and how the district is using them and what parents should do with them. And our next meeting is to be determined. That's it.
Thank you. You want me to call? Mike Sacco.
So the Budget and Finance Committee met on November 20th. Some of the items that we discussed are going to be repeated by other committees, so primarily I'll provide an overview, and I think there'll be some more detail provided by the Building and Grounds Committee. But first, the committee did meet with representatives from Spiesel and Greyhawk to review the progress of our interior and exterior alterations and additions that are financed through the Holmdel 2020 referendum. All projects at this present moment are proceeding on track. Although weather has been a factor, even the sports field reconstruction and reconfigurations at 75% complete, and we're hopeful that it will potentially be completed by the end of the year. Administration will begin the bidding process for the remaining work associated with the referendum project in early 2019 as part of two consolidated bid packages. They're designed to generate cost efficiencies through scale. The committee also reviewed proposals from Spiesel for a new canopy for the entrance to the high school as part of the Holmdel 2020 referendum, which was referenced by Joe a few moments ago, and obviously will be a discussion item for the board. The committee also recommends that the district utilize one of the services that are offered by Spiesel, which is furniture design services. They're designed to enhance the new learning environments that will be established through the 2020 project. The choice in furniture can make a big difference in a learning environment. The committee recommends tonight the submission to the state of our comprehensive maintenance plan in M1 form. This establishes a minimum amount that the district must spend on district-wide maintenance. We have always exceeded this amount. We expect when the budget is put together for next year, we will again exceed the amount and fulfill the state requirement. This particular effort also establishes a maximum amount that the district can have for its maintenance reserve based on state formulas. Again, we've always put a good adequate amount in that reserve based on surplus monies. Mr. Patrizzo has advised that the auditors will present at either the December or January meeting to report the results of the audit, at which time there will be a resolution before the board to accept 2017-2018 comprehensive annual financial report and single audit. I do also want to note that there are 2 items on the agenda that were not discussed by the committee, but I did have further discussions with the business administrator. So for clarification, items 36 and 37, which involve the acceptance of Chapter 192, 193 funding. Essentially, this is a pass-through. We get the money, and then it goes off to non-public schools inside the territorial limits of our district. The next meeting of the Budget and Finance Committee will be on December 12th at 6:30 p.m. Are there any questions from members of the board? Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Good point. Good idea. So, the Buildings, Grounds, and Safety Committee met on November 19th. A lot of similar topics to budget and finance, so I'll try to be a little fast. Door replacement project, like we reported last month, that project is complete. Still working on a punch list items. One item to note is the district's getting back a $6,500 credit on that project, so it's a good thing. The gym HVAC project at SATS Indian Hill and Village. That project is also complete, and we will be getting back a credit of $5,300 and change. The Rogie Field Stadium lighting, as we reported the last couple of months, that project is obviously complete. We're getting back a $38,000 credit on that project. So these are all good things, getting credits back. Roofing, that project is done as well. A certificate of substantial completion has been issued to the contractor, and an $8,100 credit has been issued back to the district. And as Michael said, the field reconstruction is ongoing. I actually had the privilege of going on a tour of it, and it's amazing the amount of work they've been doing back there. Literally laying sod, and the tennis courts have lights on them, and they'll be marked out in the next, I guess, couple of months. It sounds like the guys have been working 5 to 6 days. They must have had at least 25 to 30 guys out there. And it's funny, none of the groups were really talking, but from what I understand and saw, they have a meeting every morning, and they have a task list of what they're going to accomplish. And literally, there were truckfuls coming, truck by truck, coming with probably 60 or 70 rolls of sod that were 40 feet by 40 feet. Little machine, 3 guys, and putting down grass, like, within hours of doing, and they had 6 acres of fields back there. You never realize how big it is back there, but literally 6 acres, and seeing everything from the dugouts are in, and the trenches are in for the irrigation, the electrical, and really amazing the amount of work they're doing in such a limited amount of time. The interior renovations of Indian Hill and Village, as Michael discussed, Spizio came to the Buildings and Grounds meeting as well, talked about the designs and how that would be repackaged as bid package number 1. Spizio had a design development meeting with the administration on November 13th to present the finishes for approval for all spaces undergoing renovation, and like Michael said, plan is to bid this work in February with award in March for to begin the work in spring and summer of 2019 or 20. The paving project, that we also part of that project, bid package number 1. And then the exterior renderings at the SATS High School, the final schematic design presentation meeting with the administration happened November 15th. Then upon approval, Spizio will continue into the design development phase, and what they need from us is final direction to basically on some of these designs, which will be coming within the next month or so. The traffic study, Dolan and Dean, as we reported previous months, submitted their traffic study for review, and the one big item that came up from the committee was the committee felt that Holland Road needed to be added to the study because obviously that has a direct impact on the traffic on Crawford's Corner Road. So we don't plan to take any action until 2019, but that's back in their court to look at Holland Road there. The Energy Savings Improvement Plan, as reported previously, that project's basically complete. We're just waiting for some final punch list items. Item number 35 on the board agenda is the comprehensive maintenance plan, CMP, and the M1 form, as Michael discussed. And obviously the Building and Ground Committee also agrees to approve that. And then the last item that we discussed was the 2019-20 calendar that I'm sure we'll be discussing probably as, I guess, new business or old business. Then the last thing that we discussed is also the Transportation Committee. We talked about this surprise afternoon snowstorm on November 15th and talked about everything from about how every student got home safely, which is obviously the most important thing, and how well all the district employees stayed with every student until every student was away, home on the buses. And even though many of those buses were 1 to 2 hours late, but I think they did a tremendous job, and like I said, great everyone home safely. And the next meeting is December 11th at 4:30. Questions?
I just want to make one quick comment about the storm. I think it's remarkable, the performance of the district in lieu of the storm. For those of you who were unfortunate to go into New York City that day to work, I was fortunate enough to have good common sense not to, but for many of the people who did, it was a real problem getting back home. This was a storm that caught a lot of people off guard, and the fact that we had kids brought home safely, we had school personnel able to get home safely, and with very little incident and not any issues that would make the national news. I think that everyone should be commended, and it was just a terrific effort all around.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you to everyone in the staff. I assume everyone stayed here late that day, and it was a shocker in terms of where that storm came from. So again, thank you to everyone for putting our kids first and making sure they got home safely that day. Let's see, C&I, who's up?
Curriculum Instruction Special Services met on November 19th at 4:30. We had quite a long meeting. We have 8 items on the agenda tonight for approval. The first is for out-of-district travel for personnel. We have to approve student trips, textbook adoptions. We have second grade resources as supplemental use to support our curriculum. We are approving some donations this evening. A Tower Garden, a non-monetary donation from the Monmouth Conservation Foundation. The grant is for the 7th grade science lab, and Holmdel is one of 6 Monmouth schools to receive the grant. The tower is used for growing fresh, organic foods through sustainable practices. This educational tool and program meets New Jersey science standards through STEM education. Our second non-monetary donation from the PLG is totaling $14,250. The PLG will purchase non-monetary requests will receive non-monetary requests in each grade in each area that meets the grant criteria. Grant criteria is as follows: must be educational for the classrooms, must benefit all children in the classrooms, and should be utilized for the 2018-2019 school year. The grants broken out into each grade. 4th grade is $4,000, 5th grade will be $2,000, 6th grade will be $1,000. There's $1,000 for related arts. There's $1,000 for special education services, $1,000 for APE field trip, and $4,250 for an e-color poster printing system. We also have a track donation. It's a donation of equipment to be purchased from Michelle and Jeff Donnelly, totaling $3,111. There are 5 items: a spirit pole at 145 pounds, which is 13 feet 7 inches long, for $548. A second spirit pole of 130 pounds. Newton International blocks, 3 at $354, totaling $1,062. An arched jump box for $589, and an instant canopy for $500. We have on approval for student teachers in clinical practice observations and field experience. We have the approval for 2 for summer programs for 2019, one being an Algebra 1 refresher program and a grade 8 math step-up program, which will be paid for with Title I funds. Information will go out in February so that parents have the appropriate time to plan accordingly. Last summer, we offered an Algebra 1 refresher program, and it was very successful. There is no test associated with our 8th grade math step-up. It will run in August, closer to the start of school, to give kids a refresher right prior to school starting. We are approving home instruction. We are also approving an amendment to a tuition contract with Shore Regional Board of Education. The amended tuition contract is for student and all of their inclusive therapies. Under items to discuss, under new business, we talked about a plan, which is a pre-ACT test. We had inquired about what the cost would be to the board, and then we're going to get some follow-up on what that would be. For this particular test, the pre-ACT, there's no measurement necessarily tied to the test. Conversely, the PSAT is tied to scholarships, measurement for college and career readiness, and school performance report. At this point, there's no other schools in Monmouth County that are utilizing the pre-ACT, but in talking with guidance, we do have lots of resources online for the ACT and the SAT prep. Administration is looking into the Brookdale Associate Degree Program. They will follow up with that at our next meeting. We also talked about homework in AP and honors classes versus non-AP honors classes. We had a few questions. Administration is going to gather some data. We wondered how much homework is being distributed and its effectiveness, and the homework load in conjunction with next day exams. And like I said, the administration is looking into it, and we'll follow up at the next meeting. HFEE gifting for 2019. They are looking to gift for a kindergarten playground, and the monetary amount will be based on fundraising efforts. We had a visit from Charles Hancock from CBAC, and he basically described the role CBAC plays in coordination with the school. CPAC executives meet about once a month, and the executives are parents of the students, and every few months the group hosts a guest speaker that presents information for the group and things that they feel is important to the community. CPAC is open to all families and all students, and everyone can attend. We do have a liaison from each school that is a parent to a student in that school. Our next meeting is December 12th at 3:15. I just want to thank the board members also for reading my notes. I think I sent them out on Thanksgiving, or maybe the day before Thanksgiving. And they were lengthy, so thank you, and thank you for everybody sending their notes, their questions ahead of time. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Mrs. Priamati, Ms. Enright, thank you for the notes. Yes.
I did have a question. I just had two requests based on the notes that I just wanted to pass along. One was, as we're looking at AP versus regular classes, can we also sandwich in their accelerated classes? Because I've always been curious about the difference in workload between our AP classes and our accelerated classes. And I've always wondered if there is the possibility for us to consider a consolidation of those programs so that it would, in a way, probably create more AP opportunities. If you're taking an accelerated class and it's aligned with the AP curriculum, then kids could take AP classes. So I would just ask that. The second question, which is kind of to you, Robert, and it would be probably something that we would do at the next board, but as we start to get closer and closer to the launch of our kindergarten program for the next school year, we're going to have I think a communications, not issue, but a communications requirement here as to kind of helping the community understand what the new kindergarten means as far as enrollment and that sort of thing. So the question that I would have for you, Robert, is that something that we need to take up with the Community Relations Committee, or is that something we need to take up with the Curriculum Instruction Committee, or maybe a combination of both? Not asking for answers, I'm just, again, in both cases, just raising thoughts to be thinking about as we look forward.
Yeah.
By the way, the reason why I think there is a question here, why it isn't an automatic, obvious CR, is because while it would be a CR question from a communication standpoint, there are probably elements of the curriculum that the CR committee would need understanding of before it could really execute a smart communications thing. So that's why I'm not sure which group it could that it starts in curriculum and then goes to CR, whatever.
I was going to just comment on the summer program. So last year when they announced the summer program, it was very late. It wasn't due to the administration's fault, but the results that they had were tremendous. And for those children that someone struggled in math, they made huge gains. And the parents that were able to take advantage of it, obviously a great thing. But even this year, now that for the public that are listening, it's a great opportunity for those kids that need the extra, help to get really it's a great program, and for it to be paid for Title I funds. It's a win-win all the way around. So if your kids need it, definitely look out for it in February.
Final committee report. On November 20th, the Labor Negotiation and Personnel Committee met. We reviewed personnel items that are on tonight's agenda. We discussed, Ms. Pert went over the new sick pay leave law that became effective October 29th in the state, and we discussed some of the concerns and issues we need to be thinking about moving forward. And our next meeting's on December 17, 2018, if we're required based on the agenda items. We're good? I got all the committees right? At this point in the meeting, we would accept questions or comments from the public on the action items only that are listed on tonight's agenda. Anthony, you have a question?
You have a comment for us?
Seeing none, we'll move on to the action items. May I have a motion for resolutions number 1 through 9, 13 through 17, 19 to 43?
Move.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Flynn.
Yes.
Mrs. Lu.
Abstain on 42 of the student regs.
Mr. Saul.
I'll be abstaining from 1 and 2, but approve all of the other items.
Mr. Hammer is absent. Mr. Reddy.
Yes.
Mrs. Brimonti.
Yes.
Mrs. Amorati.
Yes.
Mrs. Collins.
Yes.
Mr. Wall.
Abstain 24, yes on balance.
Motion passes.
Thank you, everyone. Resolution number 10. Mr. Reddy, can you please read it?
Of course. Considering I think my wife and brother-in-law and sister-in-law, number 10. Oh, I thought it was Mr. Record.
Sorry.
That's okay. Number 10, approval of a non-monetary donation from Indian Hill School Parent Liaison Group, PLG. Resolved that the board approve the non-monetary donation not to exceed $14,250 from the PLG to support Indian Hill School students.
I have a motion.
Move.
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Flynn.
Yes, thank you so much.
Mrs. Lu.
Yes. Thank you.
Mr. Saul.
Yes.
Mr. Reddy.
Yes, I saw the Indian Hill School PLG president at basketball practice a couple hours ago, so he was hoping it would be a 9-0 vote, and I told him I'd at least be a yes for him, so yes.
Mrs. Brimonti.
Yes, thank you.
Mrs. Amorati.
Yes, thank you.
Mrs. Collins.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Wall.
Yes, thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 11, Mr. Wall, can you please read it? Resolution number 11.
Yes, this is approval of a non-monetary donation from the Monmouth Conservation Foundation, a wonderful organization. Resolved that the board accept a grant from the Monmouth Conservation Foundation and approve the non-monetary donation of a tower garden and lights not to exceed $2,000 from the Monmouth Conservation Foundation to support the science program at WR Sat School.
I have a motion.
Move.
Second.
Any comments and discussion? Yes,
I would just like to congratulate Dr. Seeley for writing this grant along with our science supervisor, Mrs. Colleen, who have already attended some training on how to actually use this once it's in place here at SAT School. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you. Nice picture. Can I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Flynn.
Yes, thank you so much.
Mrs. Lu.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Saul.
Yes.
Mr. Reddy.
Yes.
Mrs. Brimonti.
Yes.
Mrs. Amorati.
Yes.
Mrs. Collins.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Wall.
Yes, thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Resolution number 12, Mrs. Emerald, would you please read that?
Approval of a monetary donation from the Donnelly family. Resolved that the board approve a monetary donation not to exceed $3,111 from the Donnelly family to be used to purchase the following track and field equipment: a UCS spirit pole at 145 pounds, a UCS spirit pole at 130 pounds, 3 Newton International blocks, an arch jump box, and an instant canopy.
May I have a motion? Move.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Flynn.
Yes, thank you so much.
Mrs. Lou.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Sokol.
Yes.
Mr. Reddy.
Yes, thank you.
Mrs. Bриаmonte.
Yes, thank you.
Mrs. Emirati.
Yes, thank you.
Mrs. Collins.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Wall.
Yes, thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Ms. Collins, can you please read resolution number 18?
Acceptance of retirement from physical education teacher, Holmdel High School. Whereas Mr. Edward Refuge has served the Holmdel Township Public Schools with distinction as a health and physical education teacher at Holmdel High School from September 1st, 1981, and whereas Mr. Edward Refuge has consistently provided a multitude of appropriately designed activities that encourage the enrichment and maximizes the educational opportunities for each student, and whereas Mr. Edward Refuge has consistently met the needs and interests of his students, and whereas Mr. Edward Refuge has been a distinguished member of the Holmdel School District and has earned the respect and admiration of his colleagues, his students, and the Holmdel community, and whereas Mr. Edward Refuge has submitted a letter announcing his retirement from the Holmdel Township Public Schools effective January 1st, 2019, and now therefore be it resolved that the Holmdel Township Board of Education accepts Mr. Refuge's retirement with regret, with deep gratitude for his dedication, loyalty, and outstanding services performed, and further extends to Mr. Edward Refuge its best wishes for a happy and healthy retirement. And I just wanted to say a special thank you to Mr. Refuge and wish him well in the future. This has been a real blast from the past for me, as I had Mr. Refuge. He taught me driver's ed many, many years ago, and he also taught me how to change a tire. Many times.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
Move.
Second.
Dr. McGarrett?
I have a couple of quick statements, some kind words about Mr. Refuge from 2 of his colleagues. One is Mr. Fallon, who was here earlier this evening. He said that Ed Refuge brought a tireless work ethic and a passion to the health and physical education program for thousands of students here at Holmdel. Ed was a driver's education instructor, as we just heard, taught various physical education activities, and coached basketball and baseball during his tenure. His experience and commitment to our school district will be missed, and we thank Ed for his service and wish him well upon his retirement. And then Mr. Lochran, who's been his colleague for 30 years, right? Said that Ed Refuge was one of the most meticulously prepared teachers and coaches that he's known. And he was also a fantastic mentor to many young coaches, and that Mr. Lochran credits a lot of what he learned from him over the year, and that Mr. Refuge, above all else, bled Holmdel blue from day one to his last day, and he will be missed. So congratulations, Mr. Refuge. You obviously touched many, many lives.
Say one thing. He
Yeah.
also brought powder puff to Holmdel High School. He was the first powder puff coach.
Jess, shout out to Mr. Refuge for Powder Puff.
He's teaching me badminton right now, and he's really one special teacher, so congratulations.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Flynn.
Yes, and best wishes.
Mrs. Lou.
Yes, best wishes.
Mr. Sokol.
Yes.
Mr. Reddy.
Congratulations, 37 years. Yes.
Mrs. Bриаmonte.
Yes, congratulations.
Mrs. Emirati.
Yes, best wishes.
Mrs. Collins.
Yes, good luck, Mr. Refuge.
Mr. Wall.
Yes, good luck to my former teacher, Mr. Refuge. All the best to you always. Yes.
Motion passes. Congratulations.
Thank you. Resolution number 44, approval to restore increment. Resolved that the board hereby restores the 2018-19 employment and adjustment salary increments for employee number 5614, retroactive from September 1st, 2018. May I have a motion?
Move.
Second.
Have a roll call, please.
Ms. Flynn,
Yes.
Mrs. Lou,
Yes.
Mr. Sockel,
No.
Mr. Reddy,
Yes.
Mrs. Briamonte,
Yes.
Mrs. Amorati,
Yes.
Mrs. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. Wall.
No.
Motion passes.
Thank you. At this point of the meeting, we discuss old business. Any old business?
Just one item, if the board will consider repurposing or sending out a new survey on the cultural survey, or repackaging that moving forward at some point. I'd be interested in knowing if we're going to close the loop on the former presentation and move to a newer format.
Survey for what?
Cultural survey.
Oh, okay.
School culture, right?
Correct. There were some challenges with the data, so I thought we might want to revisit that as soon as possible.
Anything else?
I did have one other
Old
item.
business?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring up a proposal that had been presented by my colleague, Mr. Wall, in connection with a joint meeting of the board and the township committee in the wake of the most recent announcement in which a land swap is taking place with property adjacent or close to adjacent to our own. It just raises again in my mind that there are a number of things that are going on. And by the way, I'm not suggesting anything bad or making even a judgment about the decision, but there are a lot of things that go on between these two governing bodies that I think there's intersection, and there is value if there is an identified agenda for us to have a meeting maybe once a year or when is necessary, so that we can not have surprises, so that we can work in concert, because we both serve the same masters, which is the residents of this town. So timing, whenever it should be, I don't know. I know as a board we will be going through some transition in a few months, but I would like to bring back up Mr. Wall's recommendation. I think it's a good one, and certainly if we could have some discussions with the mayor to see if there might be a possibility of something like this taking place.
I think the last few boards have been in agreement with that, but I think it's the other side of the fence not making the time to meet with us. 'Cause I think, totally right, I mean, everyone pays the same taxes, so it would almost makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, and there'll be a new reorganization of the township committee as well. So I just, saying people are on it, but who knows how it works out. Again, I think it's something that's worth pursuing.
New business. We're going to discuss the calendar.
Let me announce very quickly to remind everybody. There is Ocean County and Monmouth County joint meeting on December 6th at the Howard Township Middle School North. And the topic will have two topics. One is social media. The other one is the superintendent evaluation, the new one. So if you have chance, please sign up and go to the meeting. You will get a very good training. Also, this meeting is open to our new board member. So it's very unique opportunity for him if he has a chance to sign up and to attend it. So just looking for your email and sign up by yourself for this meeting.
New business. Calendar. Dr. McGarry?
Yeah, so, I was shopping it around to the committees over the last month. You have in your packet 3 different versions of the calendar. The first version, which was initially presented because we were thinking We needed a longer summer this summer than we already have by ending school on June 13th. And it was soon learned from discussions with Spiesel that that's not necessary for this summer. So we sort of moved on to version number 2, which is opening schools on the typical sort of calendar that we've always opened on, which is the Wednesday after Labor Day. And then there was some discussion, because that does put the school year ending on June 18th. There was some discussion in, I believe it was in personnel, around trying to end the 1920 school year earlier as well. And so version 3, and this is going to be unpopular, chips away at spring break in the 1920 school year, which, as we know, we've already chipped away at it in the 1819 school year, in order to finish school by June 15th.
And that was because we were putting work into the...
In the in the summer of 2020.
Right. So to make sure we have enough time to get that work done. So we're going to get feedback from Grayhawk and Spiesel about
Correct.
that, right? They haven't provided you anything.
No.
Okay. Comments, I'll go around. So can I see a show of hands? I'm assuming version 1 is out. I'm going to make it a grand assumption. Would everyone agree? Version 1. Version 1, we end the school year on June 23rd.
And we don't start until September 9th.
And like you said, it's next summer that is this space and the corridor, the massive renovations are really going to, take effect.
Right.
Yeah,
So version 2 starts on the 4th, with it ending on the 18th,
18th.
and the final one is 4th, ending on the 15th, and the 2 days are made up by taking the 6th and 7th out of the
Right.
April holidays.
Yeah,
That's
taking 2
essentially.
days off, 3 days off.
The one challenge with version 3, by chipping away at the spring break, is that it didn't allow for there to be 3 potential snow makeup days. And so the 3rd snow makeup day is actually the day after graduation, the 16th of June, which we've never done before.
We could also maybe pick up a day in that December.
Well,
You pick up a day with leap year?
No, the leap year's in the calendar.
yeah.
You don't.
If I might offer a suggestion. If I might, Vicki, if I might offer,
No, we just...
absolutely, I can wait.
So that's not the version. So it looks like we're getting down to version 2 because version 3 is we couldn't get the 180 days before graduation.